Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today you get 2 for the price of 1 with 22 and Doll Riot. First up, we welcome Tony Connors, frontman for Pennsylvania pop-punk band 22. 22 just dropped their new single, The Sound, and have an EP on the way later this year. Tony talks about getting into punk later in life, why punk still resonates, and a love for comic books. It was great getting to meet Tony, and I'm stoked for what 22 has on the horizon. So enjoy this chat with Tony, and stay tuned for Doll Riot.
So
Yeah.
I listened to the episode with the guy from Cross Keys.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get like a groundwork for what the show is.
Yeah.
And you said you're out of DC. DC is always a place I wanted to go to.
It's awesome. Yeah.
In terms of food specifically.
Yeah. It's a good food joint. Yeah. Yeah. I saw you guys were playing a bunch of shows, or have played a bunch of shows with Cross Keys, and I'm like, all right, that's
yeah.
Where are you in PA?
So a lot of us, well, not a lot of us, me and the drummer Justin, we are in Lansdale.
Okay.
So we're all about 45 minutes or so from the city. And yeah, me and Justin live in Lansdale. Jason is out in like Perkiomenville. Like we're kind of all over the place at that point.
Right.
We're all within like a good 30 minutes of each other, so
Nice.
practicing shows isn't too bad for that.
Nice. Yeah, you listen to that pod. I spent 6 years in Philly.
Yeah.
It was great. I love it up there. I didn't think I would, but it was great. I think Philly sports fans get a bad rap because I went to baseball games all the time and nobody gave me shit ever. I mean, they would, but in a lighthearted nature. So nobody threatened my life.
Right. We're just trying to have a good time,
Yeah.
We can be pretty passionate, go Birds. So
I rooted for the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I had that going for me.
I mean, we're whatever team they're facing, they're always going to be an underdog team. So like you can never lose with like rooting for that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's awesome, man. Did you grow up in that area?
I did. So not necessarily in Lansdale. I was born in Philadelphia, born and raised. No, I was born in Philly. Me and my parents moved to Bucks County in 90, and then I lived there for most of my life. Once me and my wife got married, we moved here to Lansdale. It's always a place that I'd wanted to go to. In terms of living, I was kind of adopted by their music scene. So like, it always held a special place for me. So I didn't really want to be anywhere else. And, so here we are.
What about their music scene adopted you?
So with Lansdale, the best part about it was that everybody was so welcoming. Not even just like with who you were, which was, the big, that's probably one of the first things you want to be accepted, but with what you listened to, what band you wanted to start, there was always somebody in that scene who's like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's try it. And, even though I wasn't able to take a lot of the opportunities like that, the fact that they knew, they're like, yeah, well, let's just try it. That wasn't something that I was ever getting from the music scene that I was involved with before. Which, kind of coincided a lot with Lansdale as well. But it just felt so open. I felt accepted. It was good to feel welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about music. What got you into music?
So ironically for the band that I'm in, punk rock, sometimes pop punk, whatever you want to call it. I'm like one of the last people to like listen to that kind of music on my own.
Okay.
I grew up, my father raised me right in terms of music, Black Sabbath, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and there was a radio station here, Y100, and it was essentially like the alternative and grunge station, and like that was my life musically for that. And then when I started getting a little bit older, I'm a millennial, so turn of the century, a lot of new metal was getting popular, like Korn, Limp Bizkit, and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
my preteens were a lot of that, and middle school and high school, Napster was around, so I was able to find like new bands and better bands, and I started getting into my one buddy gave me Satisfaction is the Death of Desire by Hatebreed.
Hell yeah.
And Opposite of December by Poison the Well. And I never looked back. So I fell pretty hard, in love with with that iteration of hardcore for a very long time, up until, I don't know, now I'm old, so I don't really listen to music as probably much as I should. But I was very, very into a lot of the hardcore and, a lot of the emotional hardcore and hardcore punk. Probably, if I were to give you like my top 5 in high school, I would probably say Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, Boy Sets Fire.
Great band.
Most Precious Blood. And you know what? I'm going to have to leave it there. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Evergreen Terrace. Evergreen Terrace is one of my all-time favorite bands. Yeah. I know that's only 4, but forget it.
Yeah. Did you pick up an instrument?
I did. So I started playing bass when I was 14. I got lessons for it for about a year. I did okay. I had a guitar. I could. And my guitar ability, like, hasn't really progressed in like 20 years. Like, and this is no discredit to anybody who writes it, but like, I could write a passable hardcore song. No. And by saying that, I mean, like, I don't know, early 2000s, maybe late 90s, like, nothing crazy, nothing riffy, but other than that, no, I always wanted to be a vocalist.
Yeah.
That was always where I wanted to be. I wanted to, I don't like a lot of attention, but for whatever reason, this is the one thing.
Yeah.
I gotta be front and center,
Were you starting bands in high school? And
so I played my first show in 1998. No, 2000. Okay. It was around 2000, and it was at the local skating rink, which has since turned into a backyard supply store, and now it's vacant again. So it just goes to show you how long that's been. But we played 4 songs, and they were all covers. We played What's My Age Again? We played Hitchin' a Ride. We played Mud Shovel by Stained, and then we played Last Resort by Pump Room.
Oh man.
Yeah. But then like real bands, 10th, 11th grade is really when I started to get into it. Yeah.
Nice. All like hardcore, or were you just bouncing around like wherever you could play?
I was trying to start a hardcore band, and I had a band, and then I would have called it a hardcore band. I don't know what the hell you'd call it now, but
sure.
Not great. But since then, then I kind of just, I don't know if discovered is the right word, but I found my niche with like the pop punk style, and luckily I was around the right people at the right time, and it really just it worked out from there, and that was from like 2005 and on.
Nice. How did TwentyTwo get started?
So TwentyTwo got started in September, October of 2019, I believe.
Great time to start a band.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the year before, because we had writing everything. Well, that's part of the story. Justin, our drummer, him and our guitarist Jason, we had all played in a band called Run For It, and we all got along musically. We were still looking to kind of start something. I was involved with something different. I was actually fronting a nu metal band, which was a weird change of pace for me. It's a lot of fun, but it was very weird. I enjoyed it. But then Justin, the whole time, is like, so I'm hanging out with Jason again, and like he's got two of his old buddies who, you know, they're looking to play, and you know, we're just kind of writing whatever, and if you want to come by and see what it's like. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, with this other band that I'm doing, I'll see what kind of time I had. And eventually I'm like, who am I kidding? Of course this is something I want to be involved in. So I went, and they played me the first song. I'm like, oh, all right. So I got something for it. I had lyrics ready to go. And they're like, well, can we keep doing this? I'm like, oh yeah, great. Why not? So a month or two later, I quit the other band, and did 22 as the only band that I'm in.
Nice. If you kept the nu metal thing, there's like a nu metal revival happening right now. You would have been right in the midst of it, man.
You're right. And it's funny you say that, because I work at a fabrication shop, and I'm trying to get the guys to make me a sweet mic stand. Because like the type of music we play, it's not nu metal, but like I don't see any pop punk singers with like a mic stand.
Yeah.
Gotta bring it back.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Where'd the name come from?
That's a great question. I was texted. Oh, by the way, we're naming the band 22. So that's like where I stood with it.
Okay.
I wasn't a part of that, but I've heard a few different stories. One of them is it's a song title, I think.
Taylor Swift?
No. I don't know. Probably not. I know a few people who would want me to say yes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's I don't remember the band. Pulley, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a song title, and nobody said no, and you know they sent it to me, and like, oh, that's fine. It didn't, nothing offended me by it, but it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
Never had a band with a number in it, so and it just be a number.
Yeah, that was all the rage there for a while, right? Like pop punk
really
bands and numbers and names.
That and like unreasonably long song titles.
Oh yeah.
Or band names.
Yeah. You guys put out an EP March 2020, which is a great time to release music. Talk to me about COVID lockdowns.
I know. So it's hilarious. We were recording that with Pete, the guitar player for the Bouncing Souls, at his place in Jersey. And like that place was just unreal. That was just in terms of like history,
Yeah.
It's like, well, it almost felt like you were walking into a museum that like was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was a really cool experience. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And we're like all pumped about it. You're like, oh, it's ready to go. Yeah. And the lockdown happened. We're like, son of a bitch. So we still released it, and we're like, I don't know, whatever. Let's just get it out there. We played a show that December prior. That was our first and only show at that point.
Oh man.
And I didn't know that was going to be like the last show that like most of us would play in a matter of a year and a half to 2 years. In cases. So, we were just kind of like, all right, well, what are we doing? So we took a break for a little bit, not in terms of like we weren't a band anymore, but like we felt that circumstances didn't allow us to be a band anymore.
Yeah.
So we took our time with it. We got back together to practice occasionally, maybe once every couple of weeks, as long as everybody was feeling okay and, all that fun shit. So, then once things started getting a little bit more normal, we were more week to week, and then we just got to writing. We looked at our experience with Pete, and we're like, we're really happy with these songs. Two of them, unfortunately, we don't play anymore. We've since gotten a different guitar player, our friend Macau, and the other two songs, one of them was just straight up way too much I guess part of the old regime, if you want to call it.
Okay.
And the other one, for whatever reason, it just wasn't hitting us right the way we were hearing it after it was recorded for a while. But then we just started writing, we just kept going and going and going and going. And at this point, we still have those 4 songs up when we play the first 2.
Yeah.
And we probably have upwards of, a little over a full length's worth of material and songs. So we're pumped, we're ready to get everything out there. And, we just finished up another set, and we're going to release the first one in June, on June 9th. That'll be out on Spotify. And not just Spotify. That's just the only one that's coming to my mind. I have to confirm, but it's going to be on, I think it's going to be Apple Music and all that fun stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
A single coming out called The Sound. I've got to hear it. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah.
You got the whole EP. What were like lyrical themes you tapped into when writing this set of songs or this EP?
So I first have a hard time writing about myself.
Okay. So
for the sound, it's funny. For the sound, big I really all of them. It was this whole EP's worth of songs. It was a little bit of a challenge because I don't like to write about myself. I always try to write from a separate perspective.
Okay.
The sound, I think, was the easiest to write lyrically because it's where we all were mentally at that point. The big message in that song, at least for me, is, we remember what we had as a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not oh my God, don't let it die. It's where do we go from here? What can we do now?
Yeah.
Whether that's, okay, let's start another band. Let's do it that way. Or maybe one of us can put on shows or whatever, keep it going. That's pretty much my big thing for this song, The Sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the past few years, like when I've talked to different like pop punk acts, like there always seems to be a constant theme lyrically of like nostalgia and the way things were like growing up and getting old. And like, there's something about that music that like just drives you in that direction. Right.
Absolutely. And not only that, I think it comes with our generation.
Yeah.
For, most of us being millennials, a lot being the later end of Gen X and, a little bit of, Gen Z. A lot of us, the 90s were kind of all we had and like the turn of the century. And I don't mean it like it's all we had. No, like ever since then, it's been one like seemingly cataclysmic crisis after another.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, come on, just give me the 90s back one more time. And so that's already in our minds, it's part of the mindset. We like things that were, but that's part of growing up. You got to remember what you had. But again, where can you go? Where can you go forward? You can't always be looking back.
Yeah, yeah. We were all just skateboarding, and then 9/11 happened, and it's all been downhill since there. What do you think it is about like pop punk? Because this is like, as far as like no genre dies, but like pop punk continues to thrive, and there are always new bands like picking up the style and carrying the torch. What do you think it is about pop punk or punk in general that just like continues to carry forward?
Because there's always going to be someone who's pissed off about something and feels the need to let anybody know. And that's whether you want to call that a punk mentality or just, I don't even know, but I think that's a big part of it. There's always going to be something to bitch about.
Yeah.
Whether it's, and like that, I mean, let's be real. That spans genres.
Yeah.
One of the buddies I work with, his name's Don Perrant. He's helped us out a lot. He's a great guy. He's very heavily involved in what continues to be, as you put it, a thriving glam and hair metal scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like
he's still thriving, still going.
Like that was his shit. And like, he's heavily involved in it, and it's still like it's thriving, So like, and the same is for pop punk and punk rock. It's things, unless someone's going to go out of their way to snuff something out, no. A genre's not going to die. You know, I'd like, certain genres to die, but they won't, and I have to accept that. And that's my cross to bear. So. Surrounded by well wishes and love. Surrounded when all you want is to be left alone. But what they'll never know is how it seems down hell. When all you see is the blood of emotion.
Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about comic books, because you have an amazing collection and assortment behind you. What got you into comics? All mine are over here on the shelf outside.
Well, all right. You a Marvel guy or you a DC guy?
I was a hardcore DC guy, and then like when COVID hit, I was like, well, I've never read Marvel, so let me get like MU, and just like took it all in. So I read a lot of both, but yeah, I was like hardcore DC up until 2020.
That is really funny. For me, it's almost the exact opposite in terms of the franchises themselves. So I grew up, nostalgia in the 90s, X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman, the animated series. Right. I was all big into that. So I loved all that stuff. And then as I got older, I never got into collecting comics or really reading comics, but I was always aware of the mythologies, the lore, the canon, all that stuff. I was always kept abreast of that stuff. And once the MCU started, I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's get it. This is where it's at. So once all that started, I started thinking about it a little bit more. And I used to be heavily against DC because anybody who would talk about it, they're always a Marvel fan. They're like, oh, their continuity shit and nothing makes sense and blah, 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 and all the reboots and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. Yeah, Batman's the only one you can bring over. And like, I actually have a whole like fan theory of how to bring Batman into the MCU, or at least the Marvel universe.
Okay.
Or for a different day. But then somebody told me about the Flashpoint story.
Oh, that's so good.
And there was one moment in that description that this person gave me that it changed my mind on it forever. And it was when I found out that in Flashpoint, Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne survived and Bruce was shot. I'm like, well, that already is nuts. What else? Oh, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. All right, cool. He's vengeful and he kills. That's awesome. I could totally see Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing that. And what really capped it was Martha is the Joker. That blew my mind. And for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, well, that kind of changes things. And then I found out about what Jeff Johns was doing with like Doomsday Clock and DC Rebirth and everything. And I'm like, well, I love the Watchmen. So I got the, I forget where I have it. Oh, it's here. Before Watchmen, and because I'd never read Watchmen, but I loved the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I got Flashpoint, the big box set, wherever it is. It's down here. And it's my library. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I love it. And about all the DC Rebirth stuff, it really just kind of opened my eyes to it. And then I started collecting like just the trades and the omnibuses and stuff like that, because I'm a completist. If I want to know a story, I want to know the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it just kind of grew, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just get this one and this one. And then I got Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then I got Infinite Crisis, and then I got Final Crisis. And I just kept going, and here we are. So I'm not done by any means. I still easily have another probably 200 books.
Nice. So I, at one point, worked for an audiobook company, and we at one point had a contract with DC Comics, and I did sound design on an audiobook version of Crisis on Infinite Earths. doing all the sound effects and scoring on this bad boy. It's
how
like
many of
8
those
hours
you
long.
have?
Well, that's the only one I have. That's my copy. I don't even know if you can get it anymore. But that company, after I left, they eventually did Civil War, and if they've done stuff with Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's the little bit of like comic book I ever got to work on, and it's super fucking cool.
That is awesome, and that's the story to do it with or to start with, you know. I just hope that people like it. You know, we spent a lot of heart and soul into these songs. You know, we're very proud of it, and you know, to be able to work with these people, it's a great opportunity to still be doing this to begin with, but with the people I'm doing it with, it makes it that much better. So you know, I'm a happy guy. I'm excited. It's going to become it's going to become a real good time. Especially for, like I said, for the beginning of the summer. So I hope people come out. Hope people like it. June 9th, the sound comes out.
Yeah. Are you just happy to be like in a band and be able to put music out, or are you ever just like frustrated with like everything is so fucking hard? It's like the album's on Spotify with a million other albums that came out today that somebody's going to spend 10 seconds on and be like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean,
you just like
I'm not going to speak for the rest of the band, but like that stuff doesn't really faze me too much. You know, I learned from but I accepted or decided that like, I know that I'm not going to like get huge. And if, you know, like, I'm not in this to get huge, you know, I'm in this to, you know, I'm in this to like, I'm in this for the experience, man. You know, I want to play awesome shows with my friends. You know, and be able to meet and play with awesome bands. Like that's what I wanted to do since the beginning, and it's what I still want to do now.
A huge thank you to Mike from Sweet Beef for connecting me with Tony. Up now, we welcome Elena, Ella, London, and Lillee from Doll Riot to the podcast. Doll Riot is an up-and-coming Riot Grrrl band from San Diego. Their latest single, Those Days, was released back in March. The girls talk about the influence of their parents on their musical tastes, the formation of Doll Riot, politics and punk, and more. These girls are young, and I hope they stick around and we hear a lot more from them in the future. So enjoy getting to know Doll Riot.
So I'm London. I play bass guitar.
I'm Lillee. I'm the drummer.
Oh, I'm Ella. I play lead guitar, the only guitar actually. So.
You guys are from San Diego?
Yeah.
Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, like around that area. I mean, personally, I grew up in a city called Lake Elsinore, which is like no one really knows about it, but I'm pretty sure Lillee and Ella, you guys grew up in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally Carlsbad my whole life. So, I've always been into like music and like art like painting and stuff. And then, yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was like 10, so that too.
Yeah, I've like always been into music, and when I was like younger, I used to skate a lot, like skateboarding and surfing. I was like really into that. And then I kind of just got more into music, but I used to play piano. I was playing piano for like 5 years straight when I started at like 8 years old. So that kind of helped me with my bass skills.
I was introduced to like hard rock at a really young age, like probably like from birth, because my parents were into that music.
Okay.
And my parents signed me up for drum lessons when I was 8. So half my life now I've been playing drums.
Wow. Did you want to play drums, or was it just kind of like forced upon you?
It was actually, we signed up for like keyboard lessons, and I was like, I don't like this. And then we went to one of the School of Rock shows, which is where I went, and I saw the drummer, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So we switched from keyboard to drums, and I stuck with it ever since.
Nice. What drew you into music? Each of you, like, where you wanted to play?
For me personally, like, I started getting into music like a few years ago because it was when I heard the song Bohemian Rhapsody that like changed my perspective on music like everywhere. And then like right after I like heard that song, I was just like, oh my god, like I need to listen to more music. And then I picked up a bass eventually. I got more into piano again, and then I wanted to try bass guitar because I've never tried it before. And I started to enjoy that a lot, so I stuck with it.
Hi, Elena.
Hi, sorry. Trouble with my connection.
It's all good.
But I'm here now.
Awesome. We were talking about music. What got you into music?
My parents, really, honestly, I grew up listening to like records and just things like that. And I took a class at elementary school that was like a music class, and I just like learned how to play like something simple on guitar, and I kind of like fell in love with it, and I just like went from there.
Nice. Lena, going back to you, what made you pick up bass? Why bass from piano?
Honestly, I had tried guitar before a while ago too, and I've never tried bass before until like about a few years ago. And I don't know, something about it just seemed easy, and like it was really fun. Like I just enjoyed it. I like the sound it makes personally, and it did help me. Like I feel like I picked it up pretty easily in my opinion because of all of the piano. It just kind of like gave me an idea of how it would be. I don't know. Yeah. I play a little bit of guitar too for fun.
Ella, what drew you to guitar?
Yeah, well, like my parents got me into music, like kind of like Elena. And then I don't know, like the first thing, like I guess my teacher in like 5th grade had a guitar in his classroom, and like that kind of like made me want to learn it. So that was like the original, I guess, like thought about it. Yeah, and then my parents signed me up for lessons when I was like super young, and yeah, I've just been playing ever since then.
Nice. Talk to me about Doll Riot. How'd this project get started?
I can take the beginning of this one. Me and Ella were taking guitar lessons with the same guitar teacher. So he kind of brought us together, and we were just jamming together. We had our friends on like bass and drums, just kind of like messing around. And our friends went off to college. We decided we kind of wanted to get serious with it. And then we put up a Craigslist ad for a bassist, and London answered that Craigslist ad and came over and practiced with us. She just like melded super well with me and Ella, and just jammed. That was fun. And then we were playing a few like shows around town and things like that, and Lillee was playing with another band that we'd played with like quite a few times, and so we just kind of offered to her, we're like, hey, like our drummer's leaving for college, like you should join. You should like, at first we just said like she should fill in for us and stuff like that, and then we kind of just stole her.
Yeah.
Nice. Why punk rock? Why, and especially this style of punk rock?
I don't know. Like, I guess we all just enjoy that type of music.
Yeah, it's like we all like punk. And it's like I feel like it's like super fun to play live, and it's just like it's a cool genre because you can basically do whatever you want with it. Like, I don't know.
I think we like the energy of it too, you know. Ella pitching on playing it live is just like super fun. Like playing harder songs, we notice we have more fun when we play the harder stuff, you know. Get the crowd
so much energy.
Yeah. What was your like gateway bands or albums into punk rock?
I grew up on Milo Goes to College.
Okay.
Oh yeah, same with me. Descendants.
Like that. I hear that album. It's so nostalgic. It's crazy. My dad had like a big vinyl collection when I was growing up, and I just put that one on all the time. So that was kind of my like very first introduction.
Nice.
I gotta say, my introduction to punk was when I went to School of Rock, and we had like these themed shows, and one of these show themes was SoCal Punk, which was like punk bands like originated in Southern California. So I joined it, and it like exposed me to like a whole bunch of local big bands, and I thought that was really cool.
I mean, I kind of started listening to punk like a little later on. Like just kind of like a few years ago, but I know my dad like loves punk, and I grew up listening to some of the songs, but I never really knew who it was by. But now I remembered he played some like Operation Ivy, I'm pretty sure, and like Circle Jerks, stuff like that. And then after I joined this band, I just started listening to more bands eventually. I just like slowly started searching for more bands and just trying to listen to all of them. I don't know.
Yeah. It's very interesting to hear like how influential like parents were, Lillee, like School of Rock, where it's like that classic punk as opposed to like none of you were like, oh, Green Day or Blink-182 or even like Paramore, right? Like
yeah.
It's definitely built in the old school, which shines in the music. Did this project start post lockdowns?
No, it started pre-lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least me and Elena. And
then,
me and Ella have been playing pre-lockdown.
Okay.
And then like right when I joined, the lockdown like occurred, and we couldn't really do any shows, so we were kind of just stuck there. But we did covers for then, and we had a music instructor
that me and Ella had mutually. Yeah, he was like helping us out, just trying to like practice a lot and just kind of get tight because we really couldn't play any shows or do anything like that. But I'd say that was like honestly a good time for us to like kind of blossom and stuff. You know what I mean? Like we had that time to just
like get started.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely a commitment to the band and making sure you're focusing your energy, as opposed to it would have been easy to like, well, this didn't happen and now we're stuck at home, so oh well, it's in the past now.
Yeah.
Where'd the name come from?
Our first bassist came up with it. We were kind of just like throwing back and forth, like kind of, you know, ideas, some like punk ideas, you know, whatever. We also wanted to like kind of encapsulate the like feminine aspect of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how we came up with Doll Riot, just throwing around names.
Yeah. Does it have any like connection to like the early Riot Grrrl stuff and that scene and like finding your place as like a modern version of that? Or
I would definitely say so. Like I was super into like Riot Grrrl like right around when we were like starting up the band. So I definitely think that had a ton of influence. I mean, we're Doll Riot, you know, so.
Yeah.
And like some of our songs, like we've written about like modern day, like women, like, and just like similar to the Riot Grrrl group.
Like topics, similar topics.
Yeah. And the music just kind of sounds similar to it. I don't know. Just an all-girl band called Doll Riot is pretty Riot Grrrl, in my opinion.
What's the scene like in San Diego and in like the California area for new upcoming local bands? Like, I mean, there's a rich music history. There's lots of bands coming through, but like, is it good for new up and coming bands, or is it just like a wash in a sea of like trying to get your voice heard?
I would say
so
so.
many bands.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's
Yeah.
a lot.
We also have a huge like indie scene, especially in San Diego. I feel like the more you go into like Orange County, you see like more like hardcore bands and things like that. But yeah, we have a pretty big indie scene, and there's just a lot of bands.
Mm-hmm. You guys put out your EP in 2020. You've slowly been releasing singles. What's the plan for this year, and what's the future of this band look like?
We're playing on an album currently because we've been releasing like quite a few singles, and we've been writing a lot lately. We're like just finishing a couple of our new songs. Hopefully to get an album by the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got it though. We're almost there. We just need to record.
Just like touching on that, like we've been meeting with a few producers to see like what we kind of want to do. But we have a lot of content written, so we're hoping to put out an album.
Nice. There's a lot of things happening. Like, you guys don't seem to be drawing on. I've talked to a lot of pop punk bands, and it's like the content of pop punk is all the same about how there's either like this aging thing about aging or nostalgia. You guys seem more focused on like political activism. Does that just come from this love of classic punk?
I feel like
there's something with the younger generation where you're just like, everything is fucked and like you're mad about it.
I write a lot of the lyrics, and personally I'm a very like politically active person.
Mm-hmm.
Like just I don't know where that came from. Passion, you know, I'm a very passionate like forward person, and I think that that definitely shows through in a lot of the lyrics. Yeah, and I think also it definitely has to do with the whole like, you listen to old punk songs and it's always about like, you know, they're passionate about something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really like it kind of makes the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like punk is
to
like
write about. I don't know, like the top.
it's like supposed to be political, like the whole movement was political, so
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song.